Yo, this is a really dark and personal album. Like, yo, I'm telling you right now, this is a very, very dark and complex album. Like, the amount of layer and depth in this album is ridiculous. Like, you need to re-listen to this album like 20 times to really unpack what Kendrick Lamar's trying to do here. Like, it's ridiculous, bro. Like, come on. He gives you like a 4K scope lens view of his psyche. Like, we get to really dive deep into his psyche, what is going on in his psyche. And his psyche, like the trauma he's been going through and all the emotions he's been going through in his life, the dark side of his, like, we get to see the dark side, the trauma he's gone through, which represents his alter ego, Lamar. And if you don't know, he said Lamar is the people. It represents the people. And you know, as all of us as people, we all go through trauma and we're fighting our own battles. We're struggling with something. And here he as Lamar here, he gives us a full insight of the struggles he's been going through in this album. Like, I'm telling you right now, this is so, like, this nigga really, like, I understand why it took 5 years to create this album. Like, it would, like, an album like this, you don't create over like 1 year, but it takes time to create a masterpiece like this. A complex, like, Kendrick Lamar in this album really tries to show you that he's a human being as well. Because I know there's people out there who represent, like, view Kendrick as a king above all people. He can't struggle with it. No, in this album, he shows everyone that he does struggle with a lot of things. And he also raps about how people putting all their emotions on him, putting all their, you know, acting like, because people like feel like Kendrick can save them. He can't save everyone. He raps about that multiple times in the album. Like, if you look at a song like Crown, he like repeatedly says, I can't save everybody. Listen, he's telling you that he's human just like all of us. He's not a king. He's not this king that you guys view him as. He's human as well. He goes through stuff as well. He can't save everyone because he's gone through stuff himself. He has to save himself first before he can even think about saving anyone. That's what he's trying to convey here. He's saying he can't save everybody on Crown. Because he can't. He's not a king. He's not a god. People are trying to view him as a king or god. He can only, like, tell you what's going on in society, but he cannot save you. He cannot. Like, he can't save you. The only person who can really save you through what you're going through is yourself, not like him. You can't go through him. He's not a king or god. He's not gonna be like, he raps about how there's a lot of stress and pressure on him to try and like save everyone. Like, apparently he's the voice of the people, I guess, but like, people have to realize you can't put the amount of pressure on one person. One person cannot save everyone. He can't. He's a human being just like all of us. That's what he's trying to convey here. That's it. And if you look at a song like Survivor, that's what he's saying here. He's a survivor just like all of us humans. A survivor, not a king, a god. He's a survivor. He's gone through stuff as a human himself. He's gone through trauma he's had before. He's battling his own demons as well, just like, yeah. And if you look at a song like Mother I'm Sober, bro, Mother I'm Sober, yo, I'm telling you, it embodies the whole theme of this album. Like, this is the most important song Kendrick Lamar has ever made. This is the most deep he's ever been on a song. Are you serious? Like, for real. If you heard Kendrick Lamar's past interviews, in many interviews, he said one thing he's regretted about his past albums is that he's never gone deep enough. Well, on this album and on especially this song, he goes full on deep. Like, he doesn't hold back anything. Like, he raps about, like, on this song Mother I'm Sober, he raps about the trauma he had when he saw his mother get violated at a young age. When he was 5, he saw his mother told him she was like, the trauma she went through, and that scarred Kendrick for his, like, the rest of his life. For real. He raps about that. He raps about not being able to protect his mom at the young age. But you can't. He was only 5 years old. He can't protect her, but still, he had anger with him not being able to protect his mother at that age. Because he just wanted his mom to be happy. And she had been, I don't know what happened to her exactly, but apparently someone did something to her. And on this song as well, Mother I'm Sober, he also rapped about how his family members and his mother especially thought that his cousin had touched him, when he said his cousin didn't touch him. But because his mother was so caught up in what, she didn't want her son Kendrick to go through what she went through, and she thought his cousin touched him, which she didn't. But as a mother, she wants to protect Kendrick at all costs. So she thought his cousin did that to him, but he didn't. So, and with that trauma being said, about that trauma he was holding on in that song, about seeing at a young age, seeing his mother being violated, it really changed his whole view of life for the rest of his life, for real. He was holding on to this trauma for his whole life, right? And he couldn't find a way to cope with it. Most people will find drugs or alcohol, some type of addiction to cope with, the trauma they've been going through. But Kendrick Lamar, he didn't do it that way. His way to cope with the trauma he was going through is addiction of lust. He was addicted to, sleeping around with girls. Where you see 20 years later, when he's with this girl, he says in this song, in Good Kid, Mad City tour, he cheated on his girl Whitney with a lot of girls because he was still holding on to that trauma. And the only way he can cope with that trauma was sleeping around with other girls. Lust, addiction of lust. That was the only way. And because he was holding on to that trauma for such a long time, bearing it up all inside of him, that trauma he had as a young kid, seeing his mother getting violated, he ended up coping in a way where it hurt people around him, like his wife Whitney. He ended up cheating on her during the Good Kid, Mad City tour. Back in 2013, he says he cheated on her in this song. He says that was the only way he can cope with the trauma he was going through, by cheat. He had to find a way to relieve himself. The only way he could relieve himself by doing this was the addiction of lust. And he talks about how him and Whitney got him into therapy because he needed it. He needed therapy because he just couldn't cope. That's what I'm saying. He's diving deep. Man, come on, man. Damn. This is a classic, bro. Are you serious? The tone, and the tone of the song, the tone he's going for, it's a very dark tone he goes into. It's a very sad and dark tone. I'm telling you, bro. And if you look at song Auntie Diaries, just the tone of that, it tells you this is a dark album. The tone he's rapping in. Kendrick Lamar is very good at rapping in a tone that creates emotion. For real. He knows how to create emotion with the tone. Auntie Diaries, bro. Auntie Diaries, he creates a dark tone. For real, the tone he's rapping is silent. He's whispering rapping type of silent. That's how he's whispering rapping in the song. And for real, and the beat selection, very lo-fi, dark. That's the mood he's going for this album. He represents he's doing this to represent dark emotions. He's doing this and he's pronouncing every word clearly so you can get a full scope, a full 4K insight to what he's going through. I'm telling you, bro, you can't make this up. Kendrick Lamar's a genius. What? You can't make this up. It's a classic. It's a classic. Are you kidding me? Man. There's so much to unpack in this album. It's ridiculous. Are you serious? Bro, this is ridiculous. And if you look at a song like We Cry Together, bro, We Cry Together? We Cry Together? What is that song? Have you ever heard in your life a song like We Cry Together? Have you? Have you in your whole life heard a song like We Cry Together? I've never heard of it. Man, damn. There's someone can write a whole novel about that toxic relationship he's rapping about. He's rapping in the he's rapping trying to portray toxic relationships he's seen over the years. He's not talking about his own relationships. He's talking about like toxic relationships he sees in the media and other rappers with other women. That toxic relationship they have. Like, We Cry Together is ridiculous. I'm telling you, the amount of layers in this album is just so crazy. Like, we get a full scope of Kendrick's mind, and he also raps like, we get a full 4K scope of Kendrick's psyche, what he's been going through. Listen, oh my gosh, just listen to this album. It sounds like a closing album, like a final album. Like, for real, it literally sounds like a final album. It sounds like Jay-Z's 444. Like, it's like you get a full therapy session. It's like Kendrick Lamar is having a full therapy session with you. He's detailing everything he's going through. Like, we're the therapist, and he's the one telling us what he's going through. That's what he's doing in this album. Like, come on, instant classic. This might be Kendrick Lamar's best album for real. Like, he's never gone this deep in an album before. Are you serious? Man, give this man his flowers. Give this man his flowers. This is a classic already. Man, damn. And if you compare the first half, The Big Steppers, and the second half, Mr. Morale, you look at the first half, right? The Big Steppers, you see he's telling you what he's going through, but he's doing it sort of in an indirect way. He's not going in fully in depth. He does. Then the second half. When you get to the second half though, the second half is just raw emotion. Raw. He's not sugarcoating anything. He's just telling you straight up, this is what it is. This is what I've done. This is what I'm going through. I'm human just like all of y'all. I go through the same emotions just like all of y'all. I am the people just like all of you. I'm a survivor as well. I'm going through stuff just like everyone else. That's what he's trying to convey in this album. That he's human. He goes through stuff. He's not a king that people like praise him to be. He can't save everyone. He's human just like all of us. Just like all of us. That's what he is. The people. Lamar. That's where you get it from. He's all of us. He goes through all the same emotions we go through. He struggles himself. Lamar, the people, represent the people as himself, going through struggles.